We are live.
Yes, we are.
Welcome, everybody, to A Nice Place to Brew. I'm Jason.
And I'm George.
How are you this evening, George?
Doing all right. As of today, I can no longer say, although I never really said it before in my life, I can no longer say I've never been a panelist at a tech conference before, which was an interesting experience. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we are here tonight to talk about homebrew hacks and homebrew shortcuts. And I do have some questions about being a panelist because this is interesting. I think we're going to delve into this tonight, but we'll go ahead and get started. Before we talk about the beers that we're enjoying tonight, we do our webcast here every Thursday. Shows available on Facebook and YouTube. Our YouTube page under the name A Nice Place to Brew has all of our past episodes. If you can like and subscribe, it really helps the show, so please do. We have an audio podcast under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew, that's available on the podcasting platforms. We have more than 40 episodes, including a recent one where we talk about the World's Fair beer competition with everybody's favorite beer out there, Pabst Blue Ribbon, taking home the famous Blue Ribbon Award. Learn all about that on our latest episode of the audio podcast. Our social media links are Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Nice Place to Brew. And other than that, we like to drink beer, and we're here tonight to talk about homebrew hacks. Please welcome, from the world-famous Route 66 Old School Brewing in Wilmington, Illinois. He's a legend and needs no introduction, Mr. Paulie Bidney.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
That was quite an intro, wasn't it?
I know, right?
Yeah.
I feel like a rock star.
Ladies and gentlemen!
Right? Holy cow.
I got a lot of energy tonight. This is starting
I know
great.
you do.
Yeah.
At least send some my way. I'm fucking spent tonight.
Sure.
Holy cow. It's been a rough day. I don't know, brew day, which I was really excited about today. I got to use some South African hops. Southern Passion and African Queen.
Oh, interesting.
Southern Passion and African Queen.
Uh-huh.
What style were you making?
IPA.
Okay.
What are the flavor notes of those hops?
Hold on, let me go grab the hops. I can read them off to you. Give me a second.
And while Paulie's stepped away, what are you drinking tonight, George?
Tonight I am drinking a hazy, juicy India Pale Ale, which is kind of hazy-ish, from Licking Hole Creek here in Virginia, and it was chosen by my lovely wife because its art is a possum that is fashioned to look like a playing card, which I think is rather entertaining myself. So
Licking Hole Creek?
Licking Hole Creek, yeah, it's a place in Virginia. So, yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay.
What about yourself?
So I am drinking Holiday Road, a joint project between Route 66 Old School Brewing, A Nice Place to Brew, and, of course, Blue Island Beer Company in Blue Island, Illinois. Shout out to Brian. Hope you're doing well, sir.
I saw their picture today, because today is their official anniversary, I believe, and their 6th anniversary over at Blue Island. And so congratulations, guys, for that.
Happy anniversary.
I will admit, when I first saw the the picture, the lighting wasn't spectacular, because someone just took a picture inside the brewery of some signs and a cake in front, and I didn't quite see the cake, and it looked a little odd, like someone built some sort of a cult shrine to brewing, but then it all came together and it made sense.
A cult shrine to brewing.
Right,
like
yeah. We do talk about the beer gods frequently, so
yes,
we have to pay tribute sometimes.
Gotta do that every
So,
now and
Paulie,
then. Yo.
the hops.
All right. First of all, what do I got here? I got African Queen, South Africa, 11.8% alpha acid. It's a dual purpose. Aroma is dank, blueberry, stone fruit, black currant, and gooseberries. What the hell gooseberry is?
Gooseberry.
And
Okay.
hold on, it was kind of funny because I was all excited about getting these. I had to go to I couldn't find them from most of my regular vendors, and I had to go to George's to replace more beer to buy these today. And oh my god, they smell amazing! And I got 5 pounds of these because I didn't want to buy a full 11-pound bag if I'm only going to use, because this is another recipe that I use from the very first guy, Dave and Isabel. I'm going to try and get him on the show for more brewing now out in Huntley. And
Oh,
the
please.
Southern Passion is 12.2% alpha acids, another dual purpose. Uh, the aromas are passion fruit, guava, red berries, melon, and grapefruit.
Okay. So very fruity IPA.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I pretty much I use these all on the hot side, and then I have to look at the recipe, but then I'm gonna dry hop with 2 pounds of one of the two. I think it's Southern Passion, I think,
Okay.
and then Citra,
And then Citra. Okay.
yeah.
So gooseberries, interesting choice. They're kind of like currants, if you ever had that, but they tend to be a little less tart than currants, so a little bit more fruity flavor. So
Okay.
that should be pretty interesting in your beer.
Yeah. And just use basic USO5, an American ale yeast on
Okay.
it. So, and I was trying to get set up to do a double dry hop online or on air for what's in this bad boy right here, which is a collaboration with Dave from On Tour Brewing. But by the time I got done, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing anything else. And then I'm almost done. I can never say I'm almost done. Tomorrow's going to be a real nice, easy day of cleaning stuff. So I figured I'll just do the double dry hop over the weekend, and then start getting ready to package this next week.
Okay. All right. Sounds good,
And
Polly.
yeah, I'm excited. I talked to Dave, and we're gonna do a little mini beer release over at On Tour. We're gonna go deliver those kegs and sit and hang out with the boys at On Tour and let them go get a tour of the place and everything else.
Nice.
And then go
Right.
to the brew district of Chicago. I mean, where they're located, I'm sure Dave talked about it, but there's like a dozen breweries within 2 or 3 blocks of each other.
Yeah.
In Chicago?
Yeah. It's like the old market area. Like off the top of my head, you got On Tour, you got the District Brew Yards, which has got Around the Bend, and 2 other breweries. Can't think of off the top of my head. In the same building where they share a brew house, and then their tasting room is an all self-serve thing where you walk in, and then you can, if you want a 1 ounce sample, you get a 1 ounce sample. They charge you by the ounce for every beer. So,
Oh, is it one of those that you like use a card or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah,
And
Jason, remember we went to a brewery up near O'Hare, not O'Hare, Dulles, that did that.
Was that the one that was in the army town?
It might have been, yeah. I think it was, yeah.
Okay.
And we used a card, and then it basically loaded the beer that we drank onto the card, and then at the end they scanned it and
Oh, yes.
and charged us for our beer. So
Yeah.
Self pour.
yeah.
Yes, I do remember that.
What they did something a little bit different there, where you give them your card when you walk in, and your card's connected and then after you give them your card, they link your card with one of theirs, and then they give you their card, and you walk around, and you got to put the card on the scanner.
Yeah.
And as you're pouring, it'll tell you what you're paying for that beer and what your total is.
Right.
So you're not like FBA, like, oh fuck, I spent $150. Damn, I feel good.
Well, you're still like that, but at least you know how you got there. You know.
yeah. You can watch your tab going up as you go.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe 2020 just slowed this down, but I'm a little surprised that business model hasn't taken off more.
It's starting. It definitely did, because it was a business model that started in like late 2018, 2019, and is starting to become more popular. It's not. A lot of people were worried that it was going to basically obsolete the bartender, but a lot of those places are still have, bartender type people to
Right.
educate people about the beer and everything. So yeah,
Right.
Well, the way District Brew Yards worked out was really cool because between the four respective breweries that were in the same building, they always had a rep. Like every brewery was on its own wall.
okay,
Like around the bend was on this one wall, and they had 8 taps, and they had one guy hanging out by their wall. So if you had any questions you wanted to talk to him, you could talk to. May it be the brewer, may it be the owner, may it be some schmuck they just hired that knows about the beer.
right. Yeah, Jason, remember when we went to Richmond and tooled around Richmond for a little while? It wasn't quite as close knit as what Polly's talking about, but a lot of the breweries were in the same like 2 or 3 block radius of each other. I think that's not uncommon for that kind of thing to happen. Of course, our favorite one, Hardywood, was
Uh-huh.
had their own campus farther away, but there was like kind of this triangle in Richmond of some pretty high quality breweries.
I think you just chalk that up to being in an urban area.
Yeah,
I mean, that I think is what that is.
yeah,
And for those people that are in those areas, that's very cool.
yeah. It's
You know,
very
you
cool.
can hit if you can hit 3 places, within about 2 hours and just walk back and forth from each. That's pretty great.
Yeah, especially if it's near like a college town, you can just stumble back to your dorm
Right.
afterwards.
Right, exactly.
But these college kids don't have the money to be drinking craft beer. They're
It's
drinking Keystone and
It's
Natty
true.
Light and well, hell, who knows what these kids are probably drinking Truly or some fucking seltzer bullshit nowadays.
I was drinking Sam Adams and
Oh,
Guinness.
were you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was one of those douchebags.
Hey, as long as you share, it's
did.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that Keystone and Natty Light just never hit home for me at all.
I'll tell you, the first time I drank some of the bad beers that we drank during our bad beer review that we did, cheap beer review, was then. Just because I knew they were not what I was interested in from a beer perspective.
Right.
So, speaking of which, Polly, what are you drinking tonight?
So I found this at a little, actually, I joke around. I call it the gas station that doesn't sell gas because there's a gas station in the town that I work at where their pumps are old and they haven't replaced them with the new OSHA approved pumps. So they got plastic bags on all their pumps, but they got, you can buy whatever. But it's a hop stash from Hop Valley Brewing Company out of Eugene, Oregon, and
Okay.
they're using cryo hops. It looks like it's all cryo. I thought I read somewhere.
All
it was all mosaic.
cryo. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going by what I can read on the can, But if I'm not mistaken, I think it's mosaic. But I haven't really looked it up, so I just went by the
Polly, what was the name of that beer again? You said it was
Hop Valley Bubble Stash.
Bubble Stash. Okay.
And I believe they're out of Eugene, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, excuse me. And yeah, I bought it on a whim. I'm like, oh, because this gas station, like when I'm heading home, and I know I need beer for the house, I'll stop there and get it because I've really been trying to avoid the liquor store across the street from my house from all the problems they had last year in 2020. I just try to better off if I stay away from that place. So I only go there when I absolutely have to.
Okay. So they actually goes a little bit farther. At least on Untapped, it says that the beer is a secret stash of mosaic cryo hop resin. So they're using hop resin, not hops,
Okay.
to create a tropical dankness in this new age IPA. So you should get bright, sweet fruit notes
Which I do.
and an easy drinking bubbler. So I imagine it's quite effervescent. And
It's very
yeah.
drinkable. It
Yeah.
really is.
Nice. Okay.
Mustache is getting in my way. Don't mind me. It's my flavor saver. Is what I like to call it.
There you go. Yeah.
So, shall we?
Yeah.
We shall.
All right. We are here tonight to talk about home brewing hacks. What makes your beers better? What makes your brew day or your brew process go easier?
Without spending a bunch of fucking money.
Oh yeah,
Or a lot of wasted effort or time?
yeah.
Or beer.
Or there you go.
True enough. You can waste a lot of beer.
Well, Jason, you got that picture I sent you, so we could start with that one.
Okay.
Or
I
George, maybe
don't have this. I don't have this queued up. Is it okay? Can I start on this one? Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, and then I'll pull up the picture as we're getting finished here. Okay. So my first homebrew shortcut or homebrew hack involves head retention of your beer. And there's a very, very easy way that you can ensure that your beer does not pour flat. And what I do is I add, for every 5-gallon recipe that I put together, I add 4 ounces of Carapils, which is a flavor neutral malt. You know, you're talking about an extra 15, 20 cents or whatever 4 ounces of grain cost you. And provided that you're using proper sanitation, head retention just becomes less of a concern. I do it with every single one of my recipes, and I think it's well worth it.
Now, when we're talking about that, I agree with you that that's a good hack for, head retention. But if I remember correctly, you don't want to do a protein rest when you're using Carapils like that. Because that will kind of, and because that was what we were doing for a long time. We were doing a double infusion where we do a protein rest and a saccharification rest.
Right.
And somebody pointed out that the protein rest process will actually work against the Carapils effect that you're getting. So if you're going to do that, best thing to do is just jump straight to a saccharification rest and do it that way.
Which, in most cases, is what homebrewers are doing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. No need to make it more complicated than it needs to be.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's a good point, though.
Well, we got a question here from Brian L. If you not had the citrus wheat yet, it's worth it. Very good beer. There you go.
Yeah, and I have, and he's absolutely right. Citrus wheat, it has that nice wheat character note the whole way through it with just that bright citrus flavor. It's a really good spring, summertime beer.
The citrus wheat, huh?
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with it.
I'm not either. Maybe it's an East Coast thing. I mean, I don't go to real bottle shops or liquor stores a whole lot anymore. I mean, I just pretty much go to my local bar and then I buy my go-tos when I'm at home. So
Yeah, does Sam Adams have regional only stuff though? I don't know.
I know they got
know.
I know they got stuff like brew pub only exclusives.
They do, but that you'll find like up towards Boston and those areas,
Yeah, like Massachusetts only, but
right.
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. It's like, but I hate to say it, like, even though I cannot ever knock Sam Adams because they were OGs in the craft beer, and anybody that knocks them, they haven't fought the fight with craft beer in this country.
Yeah, I agree.
So like I'm a big fan of their winter samplers every year, the Christmas sampler. Old Fezzelwig, oh my god,
yeah,
Fezzelwig. I would love to have a good one of those again.
Sam Adams Winter Ale.
Yep.
On a nice cold day. Oh man, that is just. It'll mess you up, but it is really good.
Right?
And no conversation about Sam Adams should be complete without talking about Sam Adams Oktoberfest.
True enough.
Still
one of the best Marzens you'll find.
Yeah,
I would probably say the best American Marzen out there.
Yeah, solid, consistent.
Yep.
Good.
I make sure I get a case
every year.
Every year I get a case, even though they released it in freaking August. Although,
my birthday. Yeah.
There you go.
Although, you know what? It's kind of funny because I talk shit right now, but Jason knows about this. We're doing a homebrew competition down here at the brewery in July. And it's we're doing fall beers because our hopefully plan is as long as what we have in stock can go into it. We're doing an Oktoberfest party. So, George, now that
Yes.
you've gotten vaccinated, you're going to have to make sure you're in Illinois on
Yes,
September
I got-
25th.
Okay.
And because we're doing a small little beer fest, Oktoberfest beer fest down here, we're going to have about 10 breweries sitting on the parking lot of
Oh,
our
that
brewery.
sounds like a blast. Okay, yeah, I got my first microchip installed this week, and
How's your cell phone reception? I'm fully vaccinated. I'm a goddamn Wi-Fi hotspot.
I got my first one, and I get my second one on the 4th, but that sounds like a hoot, Polly. I'll plan around that. That's right after my birthday, and that should be a lot of fun. So
It's interesting that George and I are getting our second vaccinations on the same day.
are we?
Oh, really?
And we are. May the
All
4th.
right.
Yep.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, that's right. On Star Wars Day, nonetheless. And we're going to
Yep.
have to do a show 2 days afterwards. So we'll see what kind of shape that
We'll
that
see
we're both
what
in.
shape we're in. Yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, which ones did you guys get? What
Pfizer.
I got the
too.
Pfizer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pfizer.
All right.
It seems
good.
How
okay.
How are you
Huh?
after the second dose, Polly?
The first one I was fine, just sore at the injection point. Second one, it hit me a little bit harder.
I'm expecting that.
Yeah, like it hit me a little bit harder. Like I walked, because they're like, we're not gonna keep you in this room for 15 minutes. It's like walk around the store, go shopping. So I'm like, I needed soap and deodorant and stupid shit like that for the house. So I'm walking around grabbing what I need for the house, and all of a sudden, I get in my car, I pay for everything. I get in my car, I start driving down the street. I start getting nasally. My stomach starts turning.
Yeah.
I stopped at Wilco for a minute to say hi. Will County Brewing Company to say hi to some friends, and I was all right. And then I came down here. I had plans to do a few other things. Like my plan was sanitize some kegs because I cleaned them. The plan was to sanitize and get them ready for the morning. I started filling the water. I'm like, no, not doing it.
No, not doing that. Yeah.
And so I sit and I had like a beer or two with some regulars and talked to them. And I went to Chicago Street. I fell asleep on the bar.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, I was real tired. And then
Okay.
I slept. I woke up the next morning. I was fine. My arm was sore for a few more days, not just 24 hours. But it hits everybody different. It really does. So
It does.
I do
Hopefully
think
you
the
won't
common message, though, is you got about 24 hours that suck.
Yeah.
yeah, that's about it.
That's what
Well,
I
I had less than 24 hours because I woke up at like 6 in the morning the next day, and I had my shot at 2:00 in the afternoon. And I
So-
woke up. I was all right.
I'm making a little bit of assumptions here, but I think Glenn is saying that might not have been your first time falling asleep on the bar there, Paulie.
Piss off, Glenn. Yeah, piss off, Glenn.
That was
So, yeah. Okay. So, getting back to the plot here of
Yeah.
Brewing Hacks.
Yep.
Another one that I'm going to recommend is you can limit the number of tools that you need. There's a lot of things that can pull double duty when you're doing brewing that can make your life a lot easier. I'm not a big fan of having hydrometers around because I find if there's a hydrometer around, there's a broken hydrometer around. It just kind of happens. So I have figured out how to use a refractometer for each stage of the brewing process, and that is made a lot easier by Brewer's Friend and Beersmith that have calculators that you can, because when you're using a refractometer before you're doing any fermenting, it's a pretty straightforward process. You put the liquid on the refractometer, you look through it, you read, and you can get the bricks, or some of them will give you actual gravity readings, and you can get true gravity readings in there. When you after you start the fermentation process, though, you have to do some calculation because the alcohol in the liquid will affect how the light goes through and will give you a false reading. So you can't just look straight through a refractometer and see what the current reading is. But calculators will help you to figure out, all right, here's the reading I had. Here's the original gravity that I had when I started. And it will help to make those adjustments so you can see what the current gravity or final gravity of your beer is. And so for me, I've eliminated some. I don't have a graduated cylinder or a hydrometer around, which has made my brew day a little bit easier that way.
So
It's funny
is
you
it a
say
matter of because I mean the common message around refractometers specifically, totally reliable for original gravity and pre-boil gravity readings,
hot
not
side,
reliable for the stages
cool side.
afterwards.
Yep.
Yeah, so I get what people are saying there, and in a way, they're right. If you are trying to figure out and saying, especially if you're figuring out on a professional level and saying, here's the actual alcohol percentage that I'm going to report to the government for my beer. Yeah, you probably want to use some sophisticated professional tool or a hydrometer that you can get a real reading. If you're trying on a homebrew scale, you can get. I mean, yes, the calculators aren't perfect, but you'll get within like a decimal point of your alcohol percentage, based on what you're reading with the calculators to be able. So if you say, hey, this is a 4.5 and it's actually a 4.6 beer, your friends aren't going to care, kind of thing. So I get what people are saying, and in a way they're right, but if you don't need that level of precision, it's fine.
Yeah.
How
I agree.
do you what are the steps in making it a more accurate reading on the cool side, as Paulie was saying?
On the
Is there a temperature conversion or something?
Well, so no, it's not a temperature conversion. It's a alcohol conversion. So because I don't know if you've ever done like I've actually worked with spectroscopes and stereoscopes and things that if you have just regular water versus water with alcohol in it, or like isopropyl alcohol, it will actually bend the light differently. And that is what happens with the refractometer, that as the light goes through, the alcohol in your beer bends the light differently. And so you have to do a calculation to say, all right, I have this much potential alcohol in my liquid. How much do I need to adjust my reading to get my true reading of what my current gravity is? And that's where, like I said, Brewer's Friend and Beersmith and other places like that come into play to make those adjustments for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the benefit of that is not having to deal with hydrometers, with cylinders,
And
broken glass.
honestly, really not having to cool liquids. So like with a hydrometer, you do have to cool it down to theoretically exactly 70 degrees to get an accurate hydrometer reading.
True.
Technically, if your liquid, if your beer that you're testing is not 70 degrees, you should use a hydrometer calculator in there. When you're using a refractometer, because you're using such a small amount of liquid, you really don't have to worry about liquid temperature. So I've got an eyedropper that I take a sample out, I put it on my refractometer screen, and go from there.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Paulie, you ready?
Yeah. All right. I'm waiting.
3, 2, 1. No.
No.
Try that again. 3, 2, 1.
All right. I made myself a little bypass for my whirlpool arm and my knockout. Don't mind the grain. I had a messy brew day. It looks better down there now. So if you look, there's two valves. One that goes up to the whirlpool arm, and then one that goes to my counterflow chiller or my plate. No, sorry, my plate chiller, because I got a plate chiller. Turn one valve off. Turn one valve on. You whirlpool. You turn the one valve off. You turn the other valve on. you're going into your chiller.
Okay.
Don't have to change hoses or anything like that. So makes life a lot easier. I
Yeah.
mean, especially if you have only one pump too.
Yeah.
Everything's on quick connect, so you can connect it and quick connect it easily. You don't have to deal with hose barbs and hose clamps and all that silly BS. So, but that was my own little homebrew hack, amongst a few other things I've done in time. And a little funny story here, George. Uh, I've been brewing for almost 10 years. I finally broke my first hydrometer last week or this week
Wow.
on
What?
Monday.
Okay. That's
Monday.
impressive. You
No,
are
I-
an outlier, sir, I imagine.
I am not lying. I am not.
No, I know you're not lying. I said you're an outlier. Like
Yeah.
you had it because I think
That
we
seems
broke ours.
impossible.
It does. I think we broke our first one within like what, a month of of starting.
I mean, maybe the second batch, and that's probably being generous.
See, I was
Wow.
meticulous. I always put my refractor or my hydrometer back in this special tube you're supposed to have it in,
Oh, jeez.
and that's what I did for the first couple years of brewing. And now that I'm working at a brewery, I'm lazy, and I just happen to have it on my shelf above my sink. And actually, do I still have it? No, I threw it away. I went to go use it, and it was the paper inside of it was still holding it together. It's kind of like it looked like this. Well, can't use that anymore.
Yeah.
So I order like 3 of them because I know if I broke one of them in 6 months, I'm gonna break a few more in my lifetime.
So, Polly, I have a question for you. Have you
Sure.
considered, instead of doing something like that, which I understand have you considered doing something like this, which is like a three-way valve?
Yeah, but that's brass.
That is brass, yeah. I'm not necessarily saying you need to do a brass version, but they make like metal and PVC versions.
No, it'd have to be stainless
Okay.
because we're told we're going from it's coming out of the boil kettle. That's a pump that comes out of my boil kettle,
Okay.
and I won't trust anything but stainless on it.
Okay.
Call me old school or stuck in my ways, but if I could find a 3-way valve in stainless, I consider it. I
Okay.
totally would. I mean, it actually looks kind of nice. It don't look. Oh, I can't look. I have my monstrosities in PBW soaking right now. No, but I that would actually not be a bad idea. But the whole thing is like being a plumber. We laughed at those things. We did.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of the reason I'm asking is because your plumbing background. But also, my concern with the valve setup that you have now, I imagine one side is open, the other side is closed. Like you just pull both valves at the same time.
Yeah.
But if you close both of them, wouldn't that be really hard on your pump?
No, not well. The rip ties for some reason they're
No.
fine.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
No, because like I have 2 rip ties here, and I use one for. If you look, like Jason knows, on my my control panel, I have a water pump and a work pump,
Okay.
and that water pump it gets used 4 times more than that work pump. I feel bad for that water pump. Like there's like when I'm cleaning kegs and whatnot, I can go ahead and just shut that valve, wherever I'm feeding it to. Like I'll have it to my hot liquor tank. Or I'll have it come out of my hot liquor tank, go into like a fermenter, or to a butterfly valve when I'm cleaning tanks or whatever. And the thing don't do nothing. It just keeps running.
Okay. Hey, Jason, can you pull that picture up one more time?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
I'll tell you what, my favorite part of those Riptide pumps. Now, okay, so that dial in front there is meant to control the flow, and that is awesome. Don't get me wrong. My favorite part of those Riptide pumps is right on the top there, that pressure relief valve to help purge the air out of your pump. Because remember the problem you were having with your pump with Whirlpool and Jason? That's what that's meant to fix. You can
Okay.
purge
Okay.
the air out and so it primes the pump for you so it'll flow through correctly. And those are just
Wow.
awesome.
All
Yeah.
right. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I had a mess on my floor because of that fucking thing.
Well, yeah, I hear you on it. Because once you purge all the air out, then liquid's going to start to come out. So you got to make sure you close it real quick.
Yep.
But yeah, that is that I really like that design from Blickman.
And they're very affordable pumps too.
They are the Riptides. They're like what 150.
And yeah,
Is that what
we'll
they
say
are?
that. Yeah, we'll say
Man.
that.
Oh man.
I'm paying a lot cheaper, but yeah, that's what we'll say.
Yeah,
That.
yeah, of course you are. Okay, so they're 200. They're 200 from the various places like More Beer.
Well, how about straight
But
from
still,
Blickman?
does Blickman sell direct to normies like us?
I don't know. No,
Yeah.
actually, I think they do because like when you call their tech support, you hit 1 for home brewers and 2 for pro brewers. I make sure I hit 2 every time.
I'm sure you do.
Brian
And they've
L.,
been-
thank you very much for joining in. I like Brewer's Friend. They got a ton of tools. Beersmith is good too. Absolutely.
Right. Hey guys, I gotta go put these hops away and grab another beer, so I'll be right back.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
We'll be here.
What other homebrew hacks do you have on your head there?
So this one may be a source of a bit of debate,
Okay.
but on the topic of temperature control for fermentation, there are certain bungs that you can buy that have little open cylinders that go into the liquid. And that open
yeah.
cylinder is meant for a temperature probe, which can give you direct temperature control of the liquid and not the environment that you're putting your vessel into.
Right.
So, this is a great practice, but does have drawbacks. There are sanitation concerns. There's just general management concerns. But in an effort to control temperature, which is one of the most key parts of beer making, it's a practical and productive way to go.
So you're suggesting that. So what you're talking about is called a thermo well, and
Okay, all
it's a metal, usually stainless steel sleeve that you
Right.
can then put a temperature probe into to get a more accurate reading of of the liquid, like you
Right.
said. Yeah, and I see why you're saying there's some debate around it, because the temperature of the liquid is going to change at a different rate than the temperature of the ambient air around it.
Yes.
And there is some debate as to whether the ambient air temperature is more important than the liquid temperature or vice versa. And so here's what I'm going to say to that is I think that there's a thermo well. Yep. So the ambient
Here's the
air,
access to it.
Right.
And you can't really see it in the picture, but there's also an airlock space in it too.
Okay. Yeah, so it pulls double duty a little bit for you.
Yep, exactly.
I'm going to say that so here's the controversy, if you will, around it is the temperature of the liquid is going to give you a more accurate reading of what the liquid is. However, the ambient air temperature is going to be, let's say your cooling is going to be a lot colder than what the liquid temperature is going to be once your temperature, your Inkbird or whatever dough cooler gets down to the right temperature. What that's going to potentially do is have the ambient air temperature be so much lower that it's going to lower that liquid down farther than it should be.
Okay.
So
Okay.
let's say you're going for a target of 67 degrees. to get the liquid in the thermo well down to 67 degrees, the ambient air temperature is going to be closer to like 60, 55 degrees, which means that the liquid is going to continue to cool even after your cooling, like your refrigerator or whatnot, cuts off. So for me, what I like to do is read the ambient temperature, and I usually go a degree or two below what I want my target liquid temperature to be, and I find that to be a little bit more consistent.
So I think I would challenge the first part of what you're saying about, the risk of the temperature being too low. And here's why. Because the yeast activity is only going to push a vessel's temperature into, in one direction, and that's up.
But only for the first couple days. Once the activity kicks off.
It'll certainly mild down after that time. Yes, you're right. But nevertheless, even just that leveled off activity is going to create some degree of heat within the vessel. It's going to be greater than zero. That's my point.
True.
But I agree with the second part of what you just said about this can be a good practice. So if you're using just the ambient air temperature and you set it towards the lower end of your yeast temperature, then things just kind of work out for you, because even though the temperature in the vessel will be higher than the ambient temperature, you're still well within the temperature range of the yeast.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the philosophy that I've been using, but I understand the purpose of thermowells and things. So yeah, I agree with that. Brian brings up a really good point when we're talking about brewing hacks. This is straight out of MacGyver land. He said magnets for dry hopping. We talked about this on our previous episode, and he confirmed this is what he meant. This is brilliant in my mind. Is he takes a muslin bag, seals it up with hops inside of it, inside the fermenter, with a magnet inside the bag. And then he has another magnet outside the fermenter holding it to the side top of the fermenter. And then once he switches it over from primary to secondary and cuts off the tube, I'm guessing you have a conical, like a fast ferment or a catalyst or something like that, Brian. Once you cut it off, you then take off the outside magnet, and that drops the bag into the liquid and starts the dry hopping process. You can do that entirely without any air, contamination inside of your liquid, without opening your vessel at all. Just open that, just take off that magnet, drop that bag in, and start your dry hopping process. And I think that is when we're talking about hacks, that's a good one.
Can we find a video on this somewhere? Did you search that down?
Brian's the only one that I've heard that's actually doing this. Brian, have you taken a video of you doing this in the past? Like, if you have, I'd love to see it.
Please do. Yes. No, I'm totally on board with this too. That's a straight up MacGyver move, and I totally support it.
Upload it to YouTube and send us a link to aniceplacetobrew@gmail.com, and we'll put it up here.
Yeah.
So,
Paulie, other hacks? You're on mute, sir.
Can't hear you, buddy.
Here I am.
We heard that.
We know how to read lips.
Homebrew hacks. The magnet thing kind of intrigues me, but how would you do it if you have a stainless steel fermenter?
Well, you could do it on the lid, because what I've seen a lot of people do is they open the very top lid of that fermenter and then drop your bag in there. If you were to connect the magnet to the lid and the bag on the inside of the lid, you could do that as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, with my dry hopping ports or wherever those ports are, there's no way I could really, well, I guess I could, but the amount of hops that I'm dry hopping with.
Well, yeah, that's the other part of it. Yeah. So you have a lot of hops.
If I'm only doing an ounce or two, yeah, that's one thing. But
yeah.
When I'm getting ready to double dry hop this bad boy right here tomorrow with, it's going to be like 6 pounds of hops.
Okay. Yeah.
And
that's slightly different. Yeah.
No way in hell I'm getting 6 pounds of hops through that hole. with a magnet in it.
Okay.
And then knowing my luck, he gets stuck to the top or some shit like that, and not even in the beer because it's metal on the inside and outside. So I mean, if you're
Yeah.
using glass or plastic or something like that, I can see that and I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I totally could. Other hacks. What else have I done? Oh, yeah, like oh, I got one for you. My buddy Sean, because he never really ever used a sparge arm, and so
Okay.
when he sparges, he puts a saucer on top of his mash, and just has a hose that drops right on there that disperses the sparge across the mash.
So
Yeah.
to make sure that I understand what you're saying, like by saucer, you mean like a small plate.
Yeah,
That just okay. All right.
you do that, and he just has a hose that drops right on top of it, and so you're not dropping right on there and digging yourself a hole in your mash in your grain bed, and that disperses it to where you get an even sparge.
That's
Because
a neat idea.
That's pretty. Yeah. That's,
like I remember, like 'cause I
Sean
got,
came up with this.
yeah, Sean went out, yeah,
Wow.
cool cat. He still does it to this day when he brews. I kind of love him. Like, hey Sean, what sausage do we got today? He's like, I got the blue one.
What holds the plate in place?
The grain bed. It just
Yeah, it's
sits
just
on
big.
top
It's
of
probably
the
just big enough it can sit on top of the grain bed.
That's
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
Oh. All right.
Yeah.
I was
That's
picturing
true.
it higher up in the vessel.
No, it just
Yeah.
sits
Doesn't
right
have
on
to.
top of the grain bed.
But yeah.
Like they said, you only want like a half an inch or an inch of water when you're sparging on top of the grain bed for that pool.
True. Right.
And that thing just sits right there, and as long as you control the flow rate, you're good.
I like it. I like it a lot.
The one thing, like I don't know if Uncle Rick's listening or watching with Randy, he saw this sparge arm that actually spins, and he always calls it the spinny thing, and it's kind of funny because the way the holes are drilled in the side of the sparge arm, it actually spins as the water's going onto it.
Mm-hmm.
The old classic. But the funny thing is, you look around, you can't find those anywhere.
No, I know.
No, you can't. The last time I was on More Beer looking at sparge arms, they had the ones like kind of like the plate where it's just got a thing where it's got grooves that disperses the water around, not straight down on it. And the cool thing about the spinny thing, like as Uncle Rick likes to call it, it just keeps it going, and you can just roll with it.
Right.
And the one that I had was so funny because it squeaked. You like ee, as it went around.
So that's why I built mine when I did. I built mine, my sparge arm, if you will, because for my modified Herms system, I did it out of PVC, and I just drilled random holes around the bottom of it, and that allowed it to kind of disperse that liquid in a way that would not, like you said, drill that hole in the grain bed.
Yep.
And,
Yep. Exactly. And it's been a busy week. I did 3 brew days since Sunday.
Nice.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, I did 2 turns to fill 1 tank because I finally got the
Oh,
okay to start doing 2 turns. So, and we're slowly but surely we're getting caught back up, and that's good.
Nice.
So I had a couple, I wouldn't say meltdown moments, but like oh crap moments. Like I was at work, and because the group text with all the girls and all the bartenders and all that.
Yeah.
Like I remember one day I was sitting here watching it. This beer blew. This beer, like 6 beers blew in 2 days.
Wow.
I was like, oh no. And then we actually had to buy beer from Metal Monkey in Will County. Just so we have beer here. Like we have a hazy on tap, but it's not mine. It's Will County's. We have a sour on tap, but it's not mine.
So, Polly, do you when you you mentioned kegs before? I know you're not really doing distribution, but when you serve out at your bar, do you serve out of kegs or do you just serve out of your bright?
We don't have brights. Everything's
You don't have brights.
I have
Okay.
pretty much. Long story short, I got uni tanks. So All my
Okay.
fermenters are dual use as fermentation and carbonation tank. So a uni tank.
Okay, so then when you go and take it over to the bar, then you fill up kegs and you take it
Correct.
over to the bar. Okay.
Correct.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. Unfortunately, I wish I had. I don't know how many beers we have on tap. 16. I wish I had 16 bright tanks. For
Okay,
Christ's
all
sake.
right, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. I mean, homebrew hacks. Let me think. If I so, for me, one of the biggest things has been organization, and in that, and I feel like that's an easy thing to say, but the way that's manifested, especially when I started doing water chemistry, is prep bowls, and you get these with and obviously they only really work at the homebrew scale, Polly, unless you get some really big bowls. But
Yeah.
you have like little kitchen prep bowls that you would put onions or peppers or whatnot into, that you could put into your recipe at the right time. If you can, they also can be used for things like 3/4 of an ounce of hops, or gypsum, or calcium chloride, or whatever you need to add to your water to be able to handle water chemistry or hop additions and things like that. So I've got about a dozen prep bowls with my system that I use on the regular, and would definitely recommend to people that can help with organization
Oh
in
yeah.
their brewing.
Yeah. Like actually, one. Oh, here's one hack I just thought of. I started this week. Uh, so like on the homebrew side, how we always talk about like you weigh all your hop conditions out beforehand. So you can get yourself a container, maybe a bucket. Like I have to use buckets now, but it could be a little tin with a top on it, and write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you put your hop additions in there, and then like Brian, like Jason can remember this when we were brewing the holiday road beer. Uh,
Yeah.
we had them stacked. You had the last one at the bottom, and then all of a sudden when the alarm goes off, you just pull off the stack,
Yeah.
off the
Yeah.
stack, right into there.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
You know, and with like water additions, I guess it all depends on what you're doing. Hi Sarah. If you're doing multiple additions, you have to have. I always do my mash, and then in the middle of the mash, I do my boil additions too. Uh,
Okay.
Right.
Another thing I guess you could do is, depending on technology, if you want, I do know Beersmith, which I've been working on. Like they have a spot on in your Beersmith to where you can take your inventory out, where you put
Hmm.
you add, and so, like whenever you're pulling something out, and you're gonna brew something, it pulls it directly out of the inventory. So it could be easier on the days when you're going to your local homebrew store or calling your rep from your country malt or your BS brewer supply group or whatever. Uh, and you can just go on there. Granted, you might want to go double check to make sure
Right.
inventory is right,
Yeah.
but then you can always have a bunch of stuff ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm just old school and don't trust technology, but whenever I'm getting ready to do a brew day, I walk back there and visually weigh everything out, make sure I have enough that I can
Well,
brew it.
but you raise a good point, and I don't necessarily know if I would call this a hack, but I will say that ingredients last longer than sometimes we give them credit for.
Hmm.
A lot of home brewers are used to buying ingredients on demand. Like I'm gonna brew this, I'm gonna buy the ingredients and brew it, kind
True.
of thing. When you're talking about especially base grains and hops, they have a shelf life, and you can keep them around. So if you know you're going to be brewing a couple beers that are going to use, I don't know, let's say Cascade, and you have the option between a 1 ounce thing and a half a pound, it's going to last for a little while. So you can save a little bit of money, have it in inventory, and be able to use it multiple brew days in a row, so long as it's not going to be too far out that you're going to start to lose some efficacy.
Yeah, and then actually, to save money, which I guess this could be a hack to save money, you buy in bulk. Like your base grain, buy a sack.
Buy a
You
sack,
know,
yeah, or split it with
Oh,
a friend.
oh,
You
oh,
know,
that's a great call.
yeah,
Yeah, if
I've
we
done
talk
that
about
before.
saving money as a hack, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah,
You know,
you know,
get
like
a
if you
55-pound bag and split it up.
yeah, and because like when you think about it, like on the average, you use around 10 pounds per recipe for a 5 gallon recipe. You buy a sack, you pay well, home brewers pay $50 at your local. Well, depending on your home brew store, at least the one that I work at, you spend $50 on. Well, that's $10. That's $10 a batch, at least in your base grain right there.
right.
You know, and then like I have a couple home brew friends where they like to brew the same thing over and over again. So
Sure.
get get a 10 pound sack of your. They do smash beer. 10 pound sack of your Golden Promise and a pound of Mosaic, and you're good.
Right. Yeah, you got a couple brew days right there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you
Yep.
plan out more than one brew day at a time, you can really be efficient in your buying, in your storing, in your using and you can make your cost per glass go down significantly.
Oh, for
That
sure.
and reusing bottles and
Hmm.
can't reuse caps unfortunately, but like reusing bottles. And although I've heard people, and I'm not a fan of it, and I've seen people do it. I mean, reusing your sanitizer if it's able to be done. Reusing your cleaner if it's able to be done. Like on a
Like
P,
cleaner like PBW?
yeah, yep.
Really?
Like,
I don't know that I'd recommend that.
Yeah.
wow.
Now,
I,
Star
I
San.
Star Sand, yeah.
Yeah.
I trust me. I've had a tub here for a couple days, and I just let stuff sit in it, and it's clean when it comes out. As long as it's got that viscosity, it feels nice and mellow, and it's not brown or black or whatever beer you're cleaning with it.
Right.
I mean, it is a chemical bath, basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm coming
Yeah, I
around
could
on
see
that.
that. Yeah. I was thinking more like the CIP kind of situation. If I
Yeah,
were
no,
to use that in a CIP situation and then, use cleaning all the tools and stuff, I would probably just dump it after that.
well, I do. I will tell you this right now. Like, I reuse my caustic from cleaning kegs as long as it's not too gross.
Right, right.
I'll use the caustic, which is PBW on crack. That's all caustic
Sure,
is.
yeah.
And don't let it get on your skin because I got a fucking big red welt on my leg the one day I decided to wear shorts to work. Uh,
Uh,
as long as it's not like that, like I keep a jug of it and I clean my brewing equipment with my hot side equipment with it. I keep it in one of those little spray jars. You pump it up, and then
Yeah.
I get stuff clean with it. So
Yeah.
then I'm not wasting chemicals and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way to go about that is try and reuse as much as possible. I mean, even if you really wanted to, you could kind of recycle your grain. I mean, you could always make a small beer out of your mash. I don't know if you ever heard of
Yeah.
that.
I have. That's a bit like reusing a tea bag in my mind, and
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about
There's just
that
not
one.
there's not enough sugar left over. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
Yeah, but you can
And,
make,
and
you can
well,
make
but
a
here's
beer
the thing: if you're doing your brew day
Uh-oh.
correctly, there's left. That's correct.
Well, you broke up. What'd you
Am I
say?
wrong?
Yeah, you broke up. What'd you say?
Oh, okay. All right, brew day correctly. There's not going to be sugars left over because the goal is to extract it all.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
You
but
tell me what brewer's got 100% fucking efficiency.
right.
Jason, I think Jason's taking
Oh
your
boy,
spot.
my
George.
connection.
He is. Yes, he is.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
This is unusual. I don't know what to do. So
Right?
far, so good right now, but
Yeah, this is actually the second time
keep an
today
eye
this
on
has happened where I've been talking to somebody and they started to break up. I was like, oh, so that's what it feels like. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's hysterical. Well, I do want to give a shout out if she's listening. I was talking to my rep from Country Mall Group earlier this week, or yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I hooked her up with Brian from Impossible Me that we've had on the show previously.
Yes.
And it's funny because he was having problems with them, and I like, here, just talk to my rep. And so they started talking, and long story short, they were talking about podcasts, and I'm like, oh yeah. Oh, by the way, we do this one. So she said she's going to start watching it.
Okay.
Although technically
All
she's
right.
harvest your yeast is a good money saver. Yes, I'll agree with
Yes.
Brian on that one.
100%.
Yeah,
Yes.
and there is a technique associated with that, Brian. And I'm sure you know this. I mean, it's not as easy as just grab the trub and use it somewhere else. I mean, you got to like kind of separate your yeast out and then create a
Wash
starter.
it, do all that
Wash
stuff,
it,
yeah.
create a starter. But once you understand that process, it's not difficult. And you're right, it can be a big money saver because, a good third of a homebrew batch can sometimes be the yeast, depending on what you're buying.
Yeah.
So if you can reuse your yeast, you can save a significant amount of cost when it comes to that. So yeah, definitely agree.
Paulie, you have not reused a yeast batch at Route 66 yet. Is that correct?
No, I have not, and
You've
I'm
not?
not
Okay.
against it. I might want to try it on a homebrew scale a little bit more because I'm just scared. It's
Yeah,
kind of one
I
of those
feel the
things,
same way.
things, and I'm just scared. I don't want
Brian from Blue Island talked about that, and he says that they make that a regular practice to reuse batches.
Well,
And-
if you know how, if you're familiar with it and you've been doing it for a long time, because
Right.
I remember when Brian taught me to brew beer at Flossmore. When he
Yeah.
was at brewer at Flossmore, we were reusing yeast. But to me, that's above my pay grade.
It's definitely something that I want to get into. Yeah, and
I mean-
storing some yeast and yeast
Mhm.
culturing and things like that. So I see a lot of calls to our friend. Crap, what's her name? Why can't I remember her
Oh,
name?
Louise.
Louise, yes, calls to Louise in my future.
Well, not right
She
now.
knows
She's
her
in the
stuff.
Caribbean. You have to wait.
she
You
is.
gotta wait till she get back to the mainland.
She's
in
where?
She's
She's
in the Caribbean.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I can wait till
She's been there for like the past 4 weeks.
Okay.
She actually got vaccinated down in the Caribbean.
Oh, wow.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
because she came by right before she was leaving, and to drop off her flavors for the pink boots that's coming up. Oh yeah, by the way, Jason,
Yeah.
let me double check. I'll get back to you tomorrow. 3 or 4 next, I think the 3 or 4 weeks from now, you and Sarah are up for the Huckleberry.
3 to 4 weeks from now? Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
I gotta double check. I don't have it in front of me right now, but you guys are
All right.
up for your Huckleberry beer. I'll let you know.
Just don't make it on the day that I'm getting the second dose, okay? Please.
Yeah, or the day after.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe if we gotta do it a little bit early, I can do it. But no, yeah, I'll make sure it doesn't happen because I've been doing
Thank
it pretty much just the week of, like when you're
Right.
due to be released, and
Right.
then you're gonna have to get your crew down here to come here and drink it because I don't know if I'm sure I told you about the little friendly competition we have here between the bartenders or the beer tenders.
Yes.
So last week, you want to know what the girl did?
What?
27 minutes. A 6-0 gone.
What?
27 minutes.
Holy crap.
The week before, 35. I mean,
I can't compete with this.
I know.
Impressive.
You're
I'm
not,
not
you're
even
not
gonna
in the
try.
competition either, so just don't
Good.
get-
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's still kind of fun because, like,
That's
Last-
amazing. Well, first of all, I love the fact that they're competing on this. I think this is a great measuring stick for the whole project. And it's obviously driving additional business there to Route 66. So I'm a total fan.
I'm still saying you gotta call it I'm your Huckleberry just because I'm a big Tombstone fan. So.
well, Jason, you don't have a name yet. I think George has made your name. Oh, Sarah was
Done.
just here too, so yeah.
I'll talk with her about it. I'm sure she'll be supportive though, because it's
Oh
it's.
yeah.
I mean, what's more fitting than that? For God's sakes,
You'll Huckleberry.
I'm your
I mean,
Huckleberry. Huckleberry.
Favorite movie. Oh man, I love that movie.
Yeah.
what did Brian
So,
say? Oh, you'll get stuff.
He's saying that you get knocked out from the second dose, so he's already had it. So good on you, Brian.
yep.
Oh, just
It's
like I
coming.
said. Yeah,
May the
get
4th.
ready for it. Don't have anything planned for the next day. I'll tell you that.
No. Oh shit! I did plan. I just realized I did plan something for the next day, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh, on Cinco de Mayo. Yeah. Think of it.
Yeah.
The next day is Cinco de Mayo.
It is
Oh,
Cinco
boy.
de Mayo. Yes.
Oh, what time of day are you getting your first one? What time are you
Already
second
done.
one? I mean, your
4
second.
o'clock. 4 o'clock.
Oh, okay. I got mine. Put it this way: I got mine at 2. By the time I went home and slept, when I got going the next morning, I was fine the next morning.
Okay.
Just sore in the arm, but
8:20
I'll be
a.m.
all right.
for me.
Yeah.
oh,
So
you'll
anyway,
be fine. You'll be fine. You're gonna be dry
So-
heaving though, but you'll be fine.
so anyway,
Dry.
try heaving.
I feel
Oh.
great
So-
about that.
We would
Oh,
be remiss if we didn't talk about the fact that coming up on May 1st is Big Brew Day from the American
Yes.
Homebrewers
Oh,
Association.
that reminds me. Okay, Jason, I looked into that. So speaking of Big Brew Day, do I still have the tab open? I'm looking at doing the Stargaze, the hazy double IPA.
Okay.
Then I looked at the
I-
recipes.
okay.
That's the one that intrigued me. That's the one that looked kind of fun and sexy.
So it fun and sexy, yes. That hot profile, I was like, holy crap! I didn't even know where to start.
Challenge accepted. That's all I'm going to say is challenge accepted.
For Big Brew Day 2021, I am not going to follow the Big Brew Day recipes, but
Okay.
that is going to be my first brew day in my new my new setup, and that is going to be the cinnamon saison that we've been talking about. So I've been working on that. I've been doing some drywalling, some electrical work, and getting ready for that. But yeah, I know that sometimes. Remember last year, Big Brew Day recipes were all about the Kvike yeast,
Yep.
and they
Right.
were also pretty complicated. Like
Yes,
these
they
guys
were.
don't pull a lot of punches when they talk about, grain bills for Big Brew Day.
Well, their other option is a much simpler beer, and it's a
Is it
brown ale.
okay? Oh,
I mean,
Janet's
all right,
brown
look
ale.
at this. Hold on. Let me find the offer. I mean, you got some Pilsner malt. Oh, you got some wheat. You got some flaked oats, sucrose. I already got the tab open right now.
I got
Oh,
the.
where's
here's
that
the-
go?
This is
All right, hold on.
Stargazer.
All right, yeah, there we go.
Look at that hop profile.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
the complicated part. Is the
Yeah.
hop profile.
So
on
what?
that.
You can't sit there and drink while you're brewing beer. Welcome to my world. I
We
can't
don't
be.
want to be in your
Yeah, I'm not
world. We
interested
want to
in
be
that.
drinking while we're brewing beer, man.
I still drink while I'm brewing. Don't worry about all that.
Actually, now that I look at it, it's not that aggressive. It's a lot of different hops, but you have one edition at 60 minutes, one edition at Whirlpool, and then you dry hop.
Okay, what you have 60 minutes, which I don't agree with, whatever, and then Whirlpool. So you got an hour to fuck off and drink.
Exactly. Yeah, no problem there. So, what's raw Northern Star Pils malt? I gotta assume that's just like a Pilsen malt.
Yeah, I mean it's raw. They're a maltster.
Yeah.
I've never looked much into that one. I could reach out to my rep about that and find out about that. Northern Star, it's kind of nice. Intrigued me ever since I found this 2-track people. I've been really looking into a bunch of grain. It was kind of funny because I was telling my rep about it, and she actually, I don't remember the name. She's sending me samples, but there's a Midwest maltster, Jason, that we can get grain from. That's selling like base grain or whatnot. That's brewed in or malted in the Midwest.
Is that one we talked about before?
Not too. No, it's not from.
Okay.
It's not from Two Malt. No.
So
Or Two
this
Track.
actually would be pretty interesting. This is a hazy. And so you got your red wheat malt, you got your flaked oats, and then you got a little bit of acidulated. So that will add a little, tiny amount of tart sour note to it, which is interesting. And then sucrose, 1 pound of sucrose. So that's where they're getting a bunch of their fermentable sugars from, because this does come out at 7% by volume. I'm assuming they did it that way because if they tried to do that with all grain, then it would probably overwhelm some homebrewer systems as far as grain bill size, because they would need to have like 15, 16 pounds of grain to achieve that.
Well, and to be honest with you, I'm dealing with that right now down here.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah. Like I have a max out. I have a max out of a little over 200 pounds. Like I was saying, when I made Polly's truck the first time, I had to leave 30 pounds of base malt, which I hope was 30 pounds of base malt out of it. I remember going through buckets like, okay, rice hulls, rice hulls, rice hulls. All right, looks like base grade. Rice hulls, oh, there's something flake. That needs to go in. I was literally going through buckets, and I had to take 2 buckets out, and when I weighed them, they were like about 15 pounds each.
Okay. Well, so here's the other one, the Janus Brown Ale. All right, so
It's
we
got
have,
a nice hop schedule too.
It does have a nice hop schedule, and it has pale malt,
Cascade, Centennial.
dextrin malt, Crystal 40, wheat, 350 Lovabond chocolate, and still some corn sugar. Man, they are looking to get people drunk. Both of these are 7% beers.
Yeah.
Well, look at this OG. I finally did full screen, but 1074. Holy fuck!
Yeah.
With a final of 18. All right, what yeast are they using actually?
Northern Brew. Oh, yeast. Oh, they're using West Coast.
Oh, Brian 97. All right, yeah.
For a brown ale.
Huh. Or a USO 5. Or
This is very unusual.
This is unusual. This is definitely more of an American brown.
Huh?
Is that a thing? An American brown ale? Okay.
I mean, it's definitely not going to have like the English brown notes to it. I think
clearly.
I think we're going to be looking at more of like an Americanized brown ale kind of situation with this.
Yeah, but I wonder where that 350 Lovabond chocolate malt come from. Who's a maltster?
350 Lovabond chocolate. You can get that from
light chocolate malt.
Yeah, from there's what's their name? Yeah, a lot of them make 350 or 400 that you can modify the amount that you put in. Like if you put 400, you use 2.5. I mean, 0.25 pounds or yeah. So, here's one that I think is interesting. This actually has a mash hop edition. Did you notice that?
I did. I don't know.
I've never done that before. What do you guys think?
I'm against it. Like, have you guys ever done a first wort? I tried first wort once. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing?
I've had hot scotchies before. Does that count?
Yeah. Well, that's different.
That's different.
we had the hot scotchies at Blue Island.
Yeah. Yes, we did. That's right.
It was kind of funny because, like, we were like, "Oh, we got no bourbon." I'm like, "Wait a minute, I got bourbon in my car." I ran out to the car. I had a little bit of bourbon, and we were doing hot scotchies.
All right, so there's 2 things in here that if people are relatively new, they probably wouldn't understand this. So, Polly, can you give us a little bit more detail here? When it says mash edition, what does it mean? And the other one is hop back. Can you define those, those editions real quick?
Mash edition, as far as I know, without researching, you're putting hops in the mash. I don't know how long you're mashing for. I don't know any of that. But a hop back is essentially kind of like a Randall, if you know what a Randall is, where you're taking the beer and you're just like, which I'm guessing the hop back, which we use a Randall, is usually leaf, which all you're doing is you're putting the beer through hops, trying to pick up whatever flavors you can quickly.
Okay. So this says hop back, and then it has a dry hop here. So when I see hop back, I read this as you're transferring it from your boil kettle over to your fermenter. You want to
Correct.
make sure that it goes through those hops. If a
Correct.
person doesn't have the ability to do that, because not everyone's going to have the ability to do that, would you say a Whirlpool edition would be a good analog for something like that?
Yeah, but but the whole thing was it say 0 minutes right there.
Right. Or a flame out, make a flame
I
out
would say
edition.
do it a flame out, maybe sit for 5 minutes and then pull the bag.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the best way. That would be the best way I could say to do that one.
Yeah, because I mean, not everybody. I mean, I'm not set up to be able to do a transfer edition. Are you?
Yeah, I can use my mash tun.
All right. Well, you're a professional. Jason, are you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So,
You guys can use your mash tun too.
I'm sure we could. Yeah, and just transfer it through the mash tun.
Have it dump in
and-
the top of it, come out the bottom.
Yeah.
Good to it.
I'm sure we could. Yeah. But I think a more applicable kind of thing for the average home brewer would be flame out, like you said, 5 minutes edition, or a Whirlpool kind of edition.
Yep.
Would
Just
be-
make sure you don't do a 100-minute whirlpool like Jason wanted to do one time.
It lives on. I love
I
it.
know. I'm never gonna let you live some stuff down. Although I know I've never lived stuff down here, so that's the fun part of it.
Yeah.
As long as we can joke about it with everybody, that's all that matters. You know.
Yes. I agree.
I will say I like the hop profile. Northern Brewer, Cascade, and Centennial. Those are some pretty solid hops to use for a beer like this. So
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Don't you think?
I was actually I'm really impressed with Northern Brewer and the Cascade myself.
yeah, Cascade's one of my favorites. I think it's extremely versatile and adds a good profile to your beer.
Even though if you ask our friend that's in the Caribbean, she says
She's not a fan.
no. She said it tastes like sweaty socks.
I know. I know. Yeah, she's not a fan, but yeah.
No, it's kind of funny because she told me how she felt about one of the staples here. I'm like, hey, it's not my recipe. I got nothing to say. You know, I'm just following what's being done. And then it was funny. I was looking at the recipe. I'm like, I figured it out, Louise. She's like, what? I'm like, it's Cascade in there. She's like, that's probably
Yep.
it.
There you go. You found it.
You found it, yeah.
Well, hey guys, I'm sorry to cut you short, but I gotta go. I gotta do
All right.
a few things.
Let's sign
go.
off.
No,
man.
yeah, let's
Let's
wrap
sign
it
off. Let's call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Homebrew hacks. Well done, gentlemen.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna reshare this episode later on this week because I think there's a lot of material that homebrewers will find very valuable. So if you haven't had a chance to tune in, I hope you'll be able to on this. And if you're viewing this afterwards for the first time, hello, thank you so much for joining us. We do the webcast every Thursday here, available on Facebook and YouTube. We'll share it amongst all of the Facebook groups each time. Our name, of course, is A Nice Place to Brew. Our YouTube page is under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew, and it has all of our past weekly episodes. We have an audio podcast where we talk about all things beer and beer making under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew, that's available on all the podcasting platforms. Check us out on social media under A Nice Place to Brew and Nice Place to Brew. And, of course, our website, www.aniceplacetobrew.com. That's designed, of course, by our own George. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great week. I hope you're having a nice cold beer. And we close off every episode and we say, it takes a lot of good beer to make great beer. Cheers.
Cheers.